Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Today we're plunging headfirst into, well, the thrilling world of rugby, specifically that British and Irish Lions opening tour match.
Yeah, a big one to kick things off.
It really was.
Yeah.
A clash that gave us a pretty decisive victory, and we're here to really unpack what that might mean for the rest of the tour.
That's right. And our focus today, it comes straight from Planet Rugby's 5 takeaways piece on that Western Force versus Lions game. Really good stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's packed with crucial details, the standout performances, and those key observations that help paint the full picture.
Absolutely. So our mission here is simple. Extract the most important insights from this opener for you. Highlight the moments that, well, truly mattered, and what they signal for the Lions tour ahead.
Get those aha moments going.
Exactly. So you walk away really knowing what went down.
Yeah.
Look, this deep dive, it's all about embracing the energy of the sport, understanding the nuances of a high-stakes tour opener.
It's the perfect way to quickly get a handle on a match that kind of sets the tone, doesn't it?
Totally. Now, before we dive right in, if you're as obsessed with rugby as we are, and you want to keep getting these deep dives,
You know what to do.
hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession. Make sure you never miss one. Okay, let's get into it. The Lions secured a, well, dominant 54-7 win over the Western Force in Perth, Optus Stadium. That's a pretty emphatic statement first up.
It is, yeah. A dominant scoreline, no question. But, while it was a big loss for the Force, the analysis actually highlights them as a much improved team compared to, well, past encounters.
Oh, interesting. So not just a pushover.
Not at all. And that's maybe a quiet signal about Australian rugby depth improving,
Yeah.
The Lions might face tougher challenges than this score suggests later on.
Yeah.
The Force definitely had things they could be pleased with. Their line-out, their starting scrum showed some real teeth initially. And you can't ignore Nick White's effort ageless, the article called him.
Yeah, he battled hard.
He really did, scrapping for that single try through sheer grit.
So a foundation laid. And on the Lions side, well, 8 tries. That tells its own story, doesn't it? Incredible attacking flair.
If it does.
Dan Sheehan, Tomos Williams got 2. Elliot Daly also grabbed 2. Gary Ringrose, Joe McCarthy, Alex Mitchell. All getting over the line.
A real spread.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the backs running riot. The analysis is clear. The forwards provided a huge platform for that attack.
That platform was absolutely critical. And right at the heart of that attacking machine were the starting halfbacks, Finn Russell and Tomos Williams. Welsh and Scottish connection there.
There was something else.
Their performance was described as assured, magnificent even.
Yeah.
Just orchestrating so much of that relentless attack.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting tactically for me. The source talks about them essentially tearing up the classic Leinster pod system,
Right.
which, a lot of people might have expected. Instead, playing off both the 9 and the 10, like Bath does.
Yeah.
Can you break that down a bit? What's the big advantage there?
Yeah, great question. It's a fascinating shift. So think of the standard Leinster pod system. It's very structured, often forwards in groups of 3 or 5. Ball goes 9 to 10, then maybe out to a pod. Powerful, yeah, but
Predictable.
can be, yeah. Especially for smart defenses. What Russell and Williams did, this Bath system style, it's much less linear, more fluid. Imagine constantly changing the point of attack.
Okay.
By having the option to play off either the scrum half or the fly half, phase after phase, they keep the defense guessing. It just confuses blitz defenses, those aggressive lines rushing up, because they just can't lock on to where the threat's coming from next.
So it creates more options.
Exactly. So many running options, as the piece says, because the defense is always slightly hesitant, never fully committed.
And it sounds like that system puts different demands on the forwards, too. The analysis mentions back rows, other forwards needing to take the ball at pace, running straight lines.
Precisely. They need to be ready for those deft pops and shorts from the halfbacks. And you saw guys like Pollock, McCarthy, Sheehan, Ted Byrne. They absolutely thrived on it, just gratefully accepting those inside balls.
Yeah, sense.
It's a system built on skill and ambition, played at real tempo with daring handling. It just looks incredibly promising for the Lions and honestly for the fans, too.
Yeah, that's the kind of rugby people want to see on tour.
It wins hearts, doesn't it? It's exciting.
Speaking of exciting,
Yeah.
we absolutely have to talk about the Henry Pollock party.
Oh, yes.
His debut is described as truly box office. Compelling viewing. I mean, this young guy sounds like a proper star in the making.
He was undoubtedly a massive standout, lived up to all that hype, and maybe then some. The stats alone are pretty remarkable for a first cap, right?
Yeah.
13 carries, 127 meters.
Wow.
Just showcasing this incredible mix of, well, impudence and fearlessness. He's got this raw sprinter's pace, almost like an adolescent acceleration, the article called it. Just leaves defenders grasping at air.
You could see it, couldn't you? That moment, he just completely gassed the forced defenders for Tomos Williams' try. Unreal.
Absolutely electric.
And then that kick and chase. Ridiculous impudence was the phrase used. Left them chasing shadows. And then showed amazing awareness, released the ball, got back up, regathered, kept it alive to set up McCarthy's try.
Just phenomenal game sense on top of the physical attributes.
It's hard to believe it was his first Lions game.
A truly dynamic, memorable performance. Now, look, he did get that yellow card just before halftime. The source calls it a blemish.
Right, the potential downside of that energy?
Maybe, but the analysis actually suggests he was really unlucky. The TV replay hinted at a clear release before he went back in for the ball.
Ah, okay.
So the article leans towards him being mightily unlucky. It was even described as a fantastic demonstration of defensive art, just, maybe missed by the ref. If anything, it showed his commitment.
Okay, fair enough. So, despite that small blip, the message seems pretty clear. Pollock has now arrived in a Lions shirt. Definitely marked himself out.
No question. He's one to watch this tour for sure.
But he wasn't the only one catching the eye, was he? The analysis pointed out some other really strong individual showings.
Definitely. Joe McCarthy, for instance, brought real heft in the engine room, just constantly driving through contact, deserved player of the match, grabbed a try, too.
Big performance.
Huge. Then you had Tag Burn, a key man, showed his test standard quality at blindside, just high-quality work around the breakdown in the carry, real class.
And Vanderflyer, Lions debut for him, too.
Yeah, Josh Vanderflyer looked assured, very classy, just brought his typical relentless work rate. Very impressive debut.
And we can't forget Elliott Daly. Seems to love playing for the Lions.
He really does, doesn't he? His Lions love affair continues. Solid as a rock under the high ball, made some really intelligent incursions into the line. And that pass for the final try.
Oh, yeah, that was special.
Divine pass, they called it. Just shows the depth of individual talent in this squad.
A lot to be optimistic about then.
For sure. Loads of positives.
Right. If you're finding these breakdowns as fascinating as we are, and you want to keep getting this kind of rugby insight, well, you know the drill. Hit subscribe for Rugby Obsession. Keep these deep dives coming.
Do it.
Okay, let's switch focus slightly. The other side of the ball. The analysis did point out the Lions' defense was stressed in 3 different areas. Where were those vulnerabilities showing up?
Yeah, it wasn't perfect defensively. The article notes they sometimes narrowed up too easily, got short in the wider channels, basically leaving space out wide.
Exposed on the edges.
A little bit, yeah. Then there was an issue with their cascading number system that's designed to cover those wide spaces quickly, but it relies heavily on the scrum half's kicking game, the boot work, to buy time, reposition the line.
And that didn't quite click.
Not perfectly. The criticism was that even Tomos Williams, who's superb, didn't fully adapt to this new moderated push system they're using. It's less aggressive than the full-on blitz he might be used to. Needs different coordination.
Okay, so a system bedding in issue there. And you mentioned 3 areas. What was the third?
Midfield, yeah, definitely. The force made too many incursions down the midfield. Some confusion there in the central defense. Pollock missed 1 tackle, apparently, but 4 times this central confusion let the force break through the middle.
Not ideal.
No. And it was really only the scramble defense, the ambition, as Farrell calls it, that saved them. Josh Vanderflyer was mentioned again, leading that effort, just working tirelessly to cover.
His work rate is incredible. And what about the breakdown? Heard the referee, Ben O'Keefe, was pretty strict.
He was, yeah. Very hot on the release, and particularly on second dibs, releasing, then immediately trying to have another go at the ball, often illegally.
Right.
The article suggests that strictness possibly took ambition away from the Lions at the breakdown, maybe made them a bit more cautious about competing hard on the floor.
But the overall feeling about these defensive issues, it wasn't panic stations.
Not at all. The analysis frames it really positively, actually. These are clearly identifiable issues.
Yeah.
Normal for a new team responding to new systems and new challenges. And crucially,
Easy fixes.
that's the suggestion. Easy fixes are available as the players bed in together, get more used to each other in the systems. Just part of that learning curve on tour.
That makes a lot of sense. Not fundamental flaws, just areas to tighten up. Okay, so thinking about the bigger picture then, test selection.
Hmm.
Who really laid down a serious marker?
Well, several guys definitely put their hands right up. Tomos Williams, despite that tight hamstring later on, he showed that brilliant Gloucester form again. His interplay with Russell was just, well, sumptuous.
He looked sharp.
Very sharp. Joe McCarthy, we mentioned his heft. That power allows someone like Byrne to really shine alongside him. And Byrne himself, crucial around the breakdown, carrying hard, showed why he's a test blindside.
Vanderflyer too, presumably.
Absolutely. Assured open side play, relentless tackling, scavenging, ticked all the boxes for his role.
And Daly. Consistent performer.
He was excellent again, continued his strong form, showed real rugby intelligence. And yeah, that divine pass doesn't hurt his case, does it?
Not at all. What about Mac Hansen? The article mentioned him having a tougher day.
Yeah, described as a difficult day for him, defensively especially, a few errors there. But importantly, he also showed lovely touches in attack. And the vibe was very much that he looks like he'll bleed for the Lions.
So commitment isn't in doubt, even if the execution wasn't perfect this time.
Exactly. You want guys like that on tour.
Okay, what about the nuts and bolts? Set piece, scrum, and lineout. How did they stack up?
Bit of a mixed bag initially, perhaps. The scrum? Pierre Showman and Tog Furlong actually struggled a bit early on under pressure from the Force front row.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then the replacements came on, Will Stewart and Andrew Porter. And their very first scrum together apparently vaporized the Force, just completely changed the picture, shows the impact the bench can have.
Huge difference. And the lineout.
Lineout was generally solid, but the analysis noted the Lions lacked an attacking option in lineout counter. They weren't really stealing much opposition ball. And it specifically mentioned Maro Litoge's skill in that area as a potential key point of differentiation. Suggests maybe he's the guy they need to bring that real counter-ruck threat when he plays.
Interesting tactical point. So some clear areas to polish, but also clear solutions emerging and some incredible individual displays. The Lions now move on, play the Queensland Reds in Brisbane. Seems like they've got a decent platform of confidence to build off.
Definitely. And you see Andy Farrell making sweeping changes for that Reds game already, which just reinforces that whole idea of betting in players, trying combinations, getting everyone up to speed.
It's all part of the plan on a tour like this, isn't it? Building cohesion, finding that test match formula.
Every game is a learning opportunity, a chance to refine and get stronger.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this deep dive up.
Yep.
A really strong start for the Lions. That dominant win sets a marker. We saw some genuinely standout performances. Pollock, the box office debutante, the Russell Williams halfback pairing, looking electric.
Showing a potentially exciting attacking system.
Exactly. And we've pinpointed those areas for growth, too. Defense, set-piece consistency, but with the feeling that they're identifiable and fixable.
Absolutely. It really sets up the rest of the tour with, well, real anticipation, a strong foundation, like you said.
So thinking about all that, what did you find most surprising or maybe most insightful after digging into this match? And how do you think the Lions will actually integrate these, new systems and these brilliant individual moments going forward?
Yeah, and maybe a question for you listening too. Think about that balance. How does a team manage the sheer box office impudence, the raw talent of someone like Henry Pollock, with the absolute need for a disciplined, tight, cohesive defensive system, especially on a high-stakes Lions tour?
That's a great point.
What's the perfect blend, Is it the individual flair or is it the unbreakable team structure? It's a massive challenge for the coaches, isn't it? A key strategic question for this Lions group.
Absolutely fascinating to think about. We genuinely love to hear your thoughts on all this, the match, the players, Pollock, the systems, anything that stood out to you from our deep dive. Let us know.
Yeah, get involved.
And one last time, remember to subscribe to Rugby Obsession for more in-depth analysis like this one.